Borrowing books made easy. We deliver books to your doorstep. Sign up now at mybookshelf.com.pk.
Hi guys, welcome to The Tea with My Bookshelf. I am so excited to introduce our guest today, Dr. Mehrub Moiz Awan. They were voted a Sunday Times Person of the Year in 2021. They're a stand-up comedian and social media star, a prominent activist of the Khwaja Sira community, and a public health practitioner. They also host a hugely popular, entertaining, and informative podcast. Let's have some tea with Dr. Mehrub. Mehrub, I've been so excited to have you on our show.
I know, likewise. आप काफ़ी ज़माने से reach out कर रही थी और फिर मेरी ज़िंदगी बिल्कुल एक chaotic वो हुई थी जहाँ मुझसे अपना time schedule भी नहीं match हो रहा था. So I'm so glad that I was finally able to bring some sensibility and discipline into my routine so that I could come here.
No, we really appreciate it. So you've talked about when you were growing up and not fitting in, and how your father would discipline you when you were either not behaving or looking in a way that fit socio-cultural expectations. And I think many of us, especially in our culture, have grown up with this sense of wrongness, and children are looked through this filter that the focus is not on their good character or their inherent qualities, but their worth is based on how well they conform. So can you tell us about your struggle with this?
So what's interesting is that I wasn't disciplined directly by my father as much as I was disciplined directly by my mother, and how I was shamed directly by everybody else. So this includes siblings, cousins, neighbors, teachers, people at the school. And it took me a very long time to understand what I'm being disciplined for.
Okay.
So what I remember is that I was in prep, which is pre-1. It's like between kindergarten and the first grade. And I was in that class. And fancy dress show होना था हमारा, जो कि ज़ाहिर है बहुत exciting होता है सबके लिए. तो मैम ने बोला कि fancy dress show में आप लोग क्या बनना चाहते हो और कौन क्या बनना चाहता है. And I still remember that time. I think I was 4 years old. And I got up and I went to the ma'am and I explained to her in full detail for 40 minutes how I want to be a khusra, and that I want to wear a frock with shishas on it.
Okay.
And that I'm going to dance on this song. I think उन दिनों वाला गाना release हुआ था शायद, if I'm not wrong, रंगीलो मारो ढोलना.
Oh yes.
You know the Rajasthani.
Yes, yes.
तो मैंने कहा कि मैंने इस गाने पे डांस करना है. I have no clue how I knew that word. I have no clue how I had absorbed that word, but a 4-year-old child knew that they had to be a khusra. Which was a gali, by the way, which was an abuse.
Yeah.
And that's how that word was given to me. My sister used to go to the same school. She was in the 12th grade at that time, much older than me. So she was called. उनको बुलाया गया, उनको बताया गया, उनके घर में जाकर शिकायत लगाई गई, फिर मुझे बिठा के बाकायदा समझाया गया कि तुमने आज क्लास में क्या बोला है. मैंने बोला मैंने आज क्लास में बोला है कि मैंने खुसरा बनना है और मैंने ये वाले कपड़े पहनने हैं और मैंने फैंसी ड्रेस में ये करना है. एंड ये वाले का तुम्हें पता है खुसरा नहीं बनते होते. And probably that's when I said कि अच्छा फिर सारे मुझे खुसरा क्यों कहते हैं. अगर वो नहीं बनते होते तो नहीं वो नहीं बनते, तुम लड़के हो, तुमने लड़का बनना है. So then मुझे उन्होंने फिर पैसिफाई करने के लिए क्या किया कि मुझे उन्होंने बनाया पॉप डांसर.
Okay.
And they made me a boy, but just to make me happy. I remember my baji put like surme se ek fake bali over here and a fake bali over here, like a dot.
Yeah.
And that was my Eid. Ki yeah, pop dancer. I have 2 fake tops in my ears. Now I was also very because I had Asperger's growing up, which made me a super nerd. So I was very good at studies, still am. Like मुझे बहुत थोड़ी देर लगती है कुछ पढ़ने में to literally grasp the concept of it. And I'm able to link multiple ideas together and make my own notes, which was great. Because बच्चे को लाइक होना चाहिए, because बच्चा बड़ा होकर डॉक्टर बनेगा. So मेरे लिए कोई टेडी बेयर अगर आएगा तो I would just cut open the teddy bear and take out all the fur from the din and like tie it up and say this is the heart and this is the stomach. मतलब हमारा बच्चा बड़ा होकर डॉक्टर बनेगा, ये वाली सारी चीज़. But the femininity alongside it, which was never femininity for me. I wasn't being feminine. I was just being myself.
I see. Okay. So did you feel like you were being disciplined for just being you? Because you said you didn't understand what you were being disciplined for.
Absolutely.
That's
So there was this
confusing.
time के मुझे हुआ कि तुम लड़कियों की तरह हो और ये लड़कियों वाली हरकतें नहीं करते होते. And that's when I said कि लड़कियों वाली हरकतों में क्या बुरी बात है, आप भी तो करती हैं. And that son was told me कि नहीं, हम लड़कियां हैं, लड़कियां ये करती हैं, तुम लड़के हो.
Okay.
और लड़के ये नहीं करते. तो अच्छा फिर लड़के क्या करते हैं? अच्छा लड़के ये करते हैं. And I was like कि हाँ मैं तो वो कर रहा हूँ. नहीं लेकिन सिर्फ वो ही करो, ये तुमने नहीं करना. एंड वो जो अदर थिंग्स थी, they were, now when I come to think of it, to be fairly honest, actually I'm a transgender person, so this all ties in. But if I was not, even then it was fine. Because all of those things that I was wanting to do were very basic. बच्चे हैं, बच्चे गुड़ियों से खेल रहे हैं, तो मेरा भी दिल चाह रहा है कि मैंने भी खेलना है. And my sisters used to make these matchstick dolls. And they used to make these paper clothes and pin them on top of them. And I found that so creative. I was like, I want to make a sari. Because I was a child who wanted to cut paper this way and color it and do neat trimmings with markers and everything. You know, children are fascinated with colors.
Yeah.
They're sensory learners. So even if a person identifies as a man after puberty or after growing up, and as a child they were doing all of this as well, that's absolutely fine because children are children. They're interested in colors, materials, creating things.
And people try to assign gender to even toys.
Yeah.
Before a child is even aware of anything, a little baby, even then they're given gendered toys to play with. So,
Absolutely. And when you look at that, those gender toys are so disgusting because men get fire trucks and guns. And girls get dolls. And the idea basically goes on here is that men are responsible for everything outside and they're aggressive.
Yep.
They have this urge to kill. They have this urge to harm, to conquer, to dominate.
Right.
And to satiate that, we need to have something to give them that. And women have this natural urge to mother, to care for, to look after someone. And hence they should be given dolls, which isn't entirely true. Of course, जब हम लोग कंडीशन कर देते हैं किसी को, 100 लोगों को आप कंडीशन करोगे ऐसे, तो उसमें से 80 हो जाएंगे, बोलेंगे हाँ चलो ठीक है. Dolls are also fun.
Right.
Guns are also fun. They will go into their respective camps. But for those 20 people out of those 100 who aren't conforming, it's a very big struggle because there are some who are like, I do not like this, I like the other. Then there are ones who want to say, I like both, but at my own pace. And then there are those who say, I like neither. I like being myself and reading a book.
And there's no room for those, the latter ones that you've mentioned, right? There's no space for that.
And that's where the problem basically emerges. So my disciplining was not just for me being effeminate. It was also for being neither effeminate nor masculine. Okay, what is this weirdness that you have?
Okay.
Because this is behavior that boys don't have, and this is behavior that girls don't have. For example, sitting on top of a tree and reading a book. What is this? Are you crazy?
I used to
Why
do
aren't
that.
you playing cricket?
Yeah.
Why aren't you doing homework? Because if the closest thing to reading a book while sitting on top of a tree is for a Pakistani middle class parent doing homework, कि अगर यही करना है तो फिर ये कर लो.
Yeah.
You get it?
Yes.
If you are doing something along those, this is what is acceptable and palatable. And I think that that possibility, that realm of possibilities that we allow our children to indulge in or participate in is so limited, primarily because of a lack of creativity on our own behalf. And I would also like to say a fear of creativity.
Okay.
And I think this stems from colonization, slavery, the many years of war, hunger, famine that we all have seen. Just the previous week, I was reading this paper about people from Bengal and South Asia, that how during the 90 years of colonization, because we went through famines so much, that it has essentially changed our DNA and our genetic structure to how we respond to food and carbs now. Which is why South Asian people and brown people are more likely to become very quickly fat if their diet goes awry.
Is this related to how they say trauma is passed down almost genetically from generation to generation?
It is precisely that.
Okay.
Because when you are in your mother's womb, it's not just about your chromosomes, it's also about something called epigenetics.
Yes.
So you're not supposed to, if you have certain genes, that doesn't mean that that gene is going to be expressed. For that gene to be expressed, ideal environmental conditions need to be available, and that's called epigenetics. So when the fetus is in the mother's womb, that environment is their epigenetics. That is what basically controls that. So it's very much similar and akin to that. And I think that also then translates into a fear of creativity. Okay, what if this person ends up creating something that will be considered hostile by the powers that be? And if you come to think of it, that is precisely what our parents have said to discipline us. ये मत करो, कुछ हो जाएगा. कुछ हो जाएगा. ये कुछ क्या है? What is this कुछ?
लेकिन ये भी तो कहते हैं लोग क्या कहेंगे.
And then there is that as well, because the only capital that we have now, other than financial capital, which most of us don't have that much of, at least I didn't. I grew up in not a rich household. I wouldn't say poor, because there are people dying of hunger in this country, but I was definitely on the lower middle class. If you have to break it down on the 5 points economic system, you do not have a lot of financial capital, but you do have social capital. You do know that if you run into a trouble, you can call 5 people and they will come help you. If your car breaks down, the neighbors are going to come and help you. And there is a social capital that we are not willing to lose.
Right.
And we are afraid that we will lose that social capital if there is something awry with our child, which I think is quite absurd, because you can actually bank upon that. You can just go to all those houses yourself and say that my child is a Khwaja Sara, or my child is trans, and this is how it is, and this is what religion says about it, and this is how we want to respect them. उनका ये नाम है अब से, और आपने उनको ये बुलाना है. क्या तुम आई थी, तुम गई थी, एटसेट्रा. उनके हम बाल लंबे करेंगे, एटसेट्रा. उनका ये दिल चाह रहा है, उनको तंग किसी ने नहीं करना, बुली किसी ने नहीं करना. अपने बच्चों को भी समझा दें प्यार के साथ घर में बैठा के कि ये भी नॉर्मल होता है. लेकिन वो ये कर नहीं सकते, बिकॉज उनको फिर ये डर लगेगा कि बाकी लोगों को ये डर लगेगा कि हमारे बच्चे भी ऐसे ना हो जाए. विच ब्रिंग्स मी टू माई नेक्स्ट पॉइंट. तो फिर आपको ऐसा बच्चा होने में डर क्यों है? सो माई मदर सेड समथिंग वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग द अदर डे. शी सेड कि तुम्हें पता है ना तुम्हारी कम्युनिटी के साथ क्या होता है? मैंने कहा जी अम्मी मुझे पता है, क्योंकि मेरे साथ बचपन से वही हो रहा है. You've just been blind to it.
What did she say?
She said कि अगर लड़के बन के रहोगे फिर तो नहीं होगा. मैंने कहा मॉम, I was about to be gang raped by 40 men while the world thought that I was a boy. People know. You don't want to know, or you don't want other people around you to know, but the predators out there, they know. They don't need a dress or pants or t-shirts. They can tell when somebody is effeminate. So I know. And people know, and people who need to know, and people who don't need to know also know.
Right.
And people who should know, ought to know, and know respectfully. There is no modicum of conversation with them. That is something that perhaps you can have. लेकिन वही वाली बात है ना, तो लोगों को डर इस वजह से लगता है कि because trans people are very victimized in the society or marginalized in the society, our child will also end up being that.
Yeah. So it's also fear-based, na?
Very fear based. Like आर्ट्स नहीं पढ़ना तुमने, डॉक्टर बनो ताकि शादी हो सके अच्छे घर में, ताकि कुछ कमा सको. फिलोसफी के बाद तो नौकरी नहीं मिलती. पार्टली ट्रू, दीज आर ट्रू फैक्ट्स, बट ये छोटे छोटे शौकों की बात हो रही है. यही वाला फियर हमारे पास एक्सट्रापोलेट और ट्रांसलेट होता है आपके जेंडर एक्सप्रेशन में भी, आपके बच्चे के. सो मेरी जो ज़्यादातर डिसिप्लिनिंग थी वो ये थी, एंड इट कंटिन्यूड एंड इट चेंज्ड शेप्स अ लॉट. It changed a lot of shapes. So earlier,
as you got older?
Yes. So earlier in childhood, for example, pre-pubertal, it was all about be like boys. And I didn't really get that much up until I got it. When I went to an all-boys school, where it was just so apparent and so obvious that this is the entirety of the school and this is this one child. And somebody like him is in 9th grade and somebody like him is in the 12th grade. But there are 3 out of 3,000.
Okay.
And so I've written an article on it as well, of balls, testosterone and puppoos, on how in all male quasi-military institutions there is this culture of homosexuality in a manner where it's almost tacitly accepted and approved of. It's just understood that effeminate boys are the target, or effeminate boys are pieces to be conquered or to be had, sexual objects that are there for the pleasure of the alphas and of the men who are present over there. And that's the sort of treatment that was meted out to me. So I did not even know it, but by the time I got to 9th grade, there were multiple rumors about me that I am getting butt effed by other older guys on the campus. And I didn't even know what that was.
Yeah.
So I was being bullied using that G गाली so much, जो गांडू कहा जाता है हमारे यहाँ, कि मैंने आखिर में जाके अपनी मम्मी से पूछा कि मम्मी क्या होता है, because मुझे ये कहा जा रहा है. And then she got really cross. And कि ये बहुत गलत बात है, मैंने घर के अंदर नहीं बोलनी, और कौन बोल रहा है तुम्हें, बताओ हमें. And I was like, no, I can't tell you, because if I tell you and you go and scold them, then it gets confirmed कि खुद नहीं लड़ सकता, अम्मी अब्बू को भिजवाया हमारे पीछे. You get it?
Yeah, of course.
This male to male bullying is like that. Because simultaneously you are being bullied for not being a man, and when you use your agency to counter that, then again you are bullied for not being man enough.
Yes, absolutely.
So there is no, उसमें कुछ है ही नहीं, कोई जगह ही आपको नहीं मिलती है किसी तरीके से. So वो ये था, and that is when I just really holed in. I was like, okay, I'm a sexual object. Everybody wants to come after me, and I'm supposed to guard myself and not be myself and try to be a man completely, because if I don't, then something bad is going to happen to me. True. And that is how it was. So for me, masculinity, when I learnt it, it was very much a mask. A mask that became so strong and so powerful that I could see the privilege that comes with it as well.
So it's almost like self-preservation and also protection then.
Self-preservation, protection, all of that. And it kept on going for a very long time, up until I think last year, when I think in 2018 actually, I was 28 years old, when things started breaking inside.
Yeah.
It was burnout. And you know, when you're masking so well, when you're so hell-bent upon waking up at 7:30 in the morning and going to bed at 10 p.m. in the night and following your schedule to the tune, because that is what life is supposed to be. And after 10 years, you're like,
exhaustion.
and sets in, and you start crashing, and you are unable to wake up on time, and you're unable to go to bed on time, and everything around the world around you starts to crumble just because that one ideal is crumbling of your daily routine. That's when you realize maybe the daily routine is not suiting me anymore. And that's what happened with me, because I just started crumbling inside in terms of sexuality, in terms of interests in things, in terms of anything. I would like to say the core essence of who I was, all of my cornerstones, that this is who I am as a person. These are the things that define me. I was just unable to do them. And then COVID struck.
Yeah.
And then I got COVID 2 times.
Yeah.
Which really messed up my brain, because, 1 in 4 young people get affected because of a higher rate of antibodies. And when that's when happened, and I have finally had to see a psychiatrist, because I was like, I'm sitting in front of a computer screen, waiting to write an email. It's been 8 hours. I haven't penned down a single alphabet. I don't know what's wrong with me. So through that, क्योंकि मुझे कोविड के बाद साइकेट्रिक केयर के पास जाना पड़ा, थेरेपी तो मेरी हो रही थी पहले भी, लेकिन उसमें ये इश्यूज निकल के सामने नहीं आया था. और जब उसके जरिए मैं गुजरी मैं उसके अंदर सारा, तो वो छोटे छोटे नहीं, जब आप वो किरचियाँ रख के आप जोड़ना शुरू करते हो, तो आखिर में पता चलता है कि अच्छा ये था मसला, ये था प्रॉब्लम ऑल अलोंग, और वो प्रॉब्लम का पता भी नहीं चलता, आप खुद ही सेट हो जाते हो. सो दैट्स व्हेन आई जस्ट कॉल्ड अप माय फैमिली एंड आई सेड कि यू पीपल आर गोइंग टू हियर इट इन पब्लिक एज वेल वेरी सून, because I am public figure. Yes. And my masculinity and the masking of my masculinity and the strength of it has just increased because I got famous in 2016. उसके बाद ना 2016 तक चल रहा था. मैं शुमाइला भट्टी भी बना रही थी, कर रही थी अपने शुगल, मेरे राड़े मेरे लगे हुए थे, फेक एक masculinity के पीछे वो लगे हुए थे सारे. But when I became public, it was like, oh damn, shit, now people know. So I had to be a very manly celebrity in a way, or queer celebrity. Yeah. But still, this is like a queer form of masculinity, where somebody is not afraid to embrace their feminine side.
Right.
That was the narrative, right? I thought, okay, this is the narrative. This is the narrative that I'm going to stick to. Yeah. And my public image is going to be curated on this particular narrative of mine. But then because public, you're constantly masking and you have to inject steroids into that image of yours, by the time I think it was the COVID struck, or hum sabko break mili, or wo shows cancel hue and everything, and I had time to sit with myself, and then I had time to fall sick and then go absolutely batshit crazy. That I figured out, okay, I'm done being a man. Yeah. So that's how I came out. Like that's mera wo ye tha. Even during my therapy, my therapist asked me, so okay, what have you figured? And I was like, what I figured is that I used the F word and I said, I am effing done being a man. I'm done. Okay. मैंने नहीं करना ये, और मेरी बस हो गई है. मेरी बस हो चुकी है, अब मैं थक गई हूँ ये कर करके. So I'm just done. So that was it. And then when I said it and she was like, how do you feel right now? I was like, badass. Maybe that.
Okay.
Yeah. So the disciplining was just very odd. It started off with gender ki disciplining, but then it went on to sexual disciplining. And then it went on to disciplining as a means of self-protection and preservation. So, बहुत मुख्तलिफ अक़साम थी इस preservation की.
Okay. So, Mehrub, you're active on both the grassroots and institutional levels. I wanted to ask you, what outcomes have you seen that were directly related to your activism? And also, do you see any value in armchair activism?
Interesting. So, I would actually think that we Khwaja Siraz, the indigenous third gender identity category people of South Asia generally, and Pakistan specifically, none of us would have been able to achieve all that we have achieved in the country if it wasn't for other people around us. for all other trans sisters of ours. So each one of us has played a very distinct role, which somehow feeds into what other people were simultaneously doing at the same time. So we were almost acting like a beehive, and we still are, where we are all individuals, but we are connected, and we are aware of the larger situations. And through direct and indirect communication, we can make other people aware of what people are thinking in the power corridors and how we are supposed to be. So one thing that I did that I was really proud of, and I'm still really proud of, is in 2016, Shiza Khwaja, she's an MNA from PMLN. She was also the chair of the Youth Caucus back in the day, and the co-chair, who was from PTI, from the opposition bench. He was from Haripur. It's close to my home. A man. He was the co-chair of the Youth Caucus. Both of them wanted to initiate a legislative reform process for the transgender community. So they had a consultative meeting at the parliament. So we sat down with them, and that was a table where there were a lot of conflicting opinions, because there were people from the, interestingly, I would like to say, the gale mein dupatte wali Islamabad ki auntiyan, who were कि नहीं इससे तो LGBT promote होगा. अगर हमने ख्वाजा सराओं का कोक दे दिए तो. There were a few Maulvi Hazrats who were good, not negative, diplomatic, middle of the road. There were some other people who were like, no, human rights है, मैं human rights लोगों को देनी चाहिए, ख्वाजा सराओं को भी देनी चाहिए. But everybody said कि होते क्या हैं? ये होते क्या हैं? क्या ये boy होते हैं? क्या ये girl होते हैं? Now that's very interesting, because Pakistan is also a very sex negative country. So nobody would openly say penis or vagina. In fact, I was reprimanded one time as a comedian for speaking at a Shaukat Khanam charity fundraiser for using the word uterus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, कितना गंदा word. एक आंटी आई हमारे आगे, बहुत बड़ी अमीर, वो नहीं होते अमेरिका में जो रहते हैं, देसी पाकिस्तानी अमीर बट.
Yes.
ये वाले.
Yes.
The ones who almost vote Republican, but can't because Republicans would kill them. But they still want to. So उन्होंने एतराज किया जाके कि इतना हम फैमिली के साथ बैठे हुए थे और इतना गंदा लफ्ज कि मैं रिपीट नहीं कर सकती. मैंने कहा मुझे बताएं तो सही कौन सा लफ्ज. तो क्या हम रिपीट ही नहीं कर सकते वो लफ्ज. तो बाद में मुझे फिर ऑर्गेनाइजर ने बताया कि दैट वर्ड वाज यूट्रस. सो वो बोलना नहीं है उन्होंने. तो उनका सवाल बेसिकली होता है कि आपके नीचे क्या लगा हुआ है. राइट? तो जब ये वाली बात थी कि होते क्या है, तो मैंने कहा सर सबसे पहले तो आपसे पूछूंगी आप क्या हैं. तो उन्होंने बोला कि जी हम वो हैं जो आपको नजर आ रहे हैं. मैंने कहा सर मुझे तो शलवार कमीज नजर आ रही है, मुझे तो कुछ भी नजर नहीं आ रहा. क्या है आप अंदर से? तो ये एक किस्म का बेहुदा सवाल है. तो मैंने कहा तो आपके लिए सवाल बेहुदा है, हमारे लिए सवाल बेहुदा नहीं है. आप सबको ख्वाजा सराओं की शलवारें उतारने का इतना शौक क्यों है? लेकिन फिर भी क्योंकि मैं एक डॉक्टर हूं और आप लोग जानना चाहते हैं, ये लीजिए प्रेजेंटेशन. And I had this whole presentation on the biology, which included chromosomes, epigenetics, genetics, hormonal expression, intersex, transgender, difference between intersex and transgender, etc., 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 gender identity, gender euphoria, gender dysphoria, etc. और उसके बाद उनको कुछ समझ आई, कुछ समझने के साथ उनको बोला कि अच्छा हाँ बस ठीक है, नहीं कि ये होता तो नेचुरली है ना. मैंने कहा सर क्या नेचुरल होता है, क्या अननेचुरल होता है? जिस बिल्डिंग अंदर आप बैठे हुए हैं क्या ये नेचुरल है? ये खुद से बनी है, ये इंसानों ने बनाई है. जो चाय आप पी रहे हैं नेचुरल है कि अननेचुरल है? व्हाट इज नेचुरल? व्हेन अ ह्यूमन बीइंग इज टेलिंग यू कि दिस इज हु आई एम एंड दे आर नॉट हार्मिंग एनीवन एंड यू आर नॉट गेटिंग अफेक्टेड, दैट इज नेचुरल. कहते नहीं, लेकिन अफेक्ट तो हो सकता है ना. फिर बाकी बच्चे भी तो उसको देख के खराब हो सकते हैं. मैंने कहा सर कोई देख के खराब नहीं होता.
That's the promoting
वाला. People express their reality. What you are afraid of is your own people expressing their reality, because your masculine security, your status in society is so fragile that it depends upon the flick of the wrist of your child. And for that personal insecurity of yours, you're willing to stand by and be a witness to this genocide that is being committed in our country, which is ongoing, by the way. The murder rate of Khawaja Sara people is 150 times higher in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa than El Salvador, which has the highest murder rate in the world.
I wrote those statistics. I read them. You put those statistics up on your social media.
क्या किस चीज का डर है आप लोगों को कि हमारे बच्चे खराब हो जाएंगे, माशरे में फैल जाएगा, प्रमोट हो जाएगा? Nobody, if इतना प्रमोट होना है, that's the answer that I always give to people. If you think it's so easy and it's such a catchy, trendy thing that guys would want to do, great. I'm challenging you. Come live with me for a week. I will turn you into a khusra. I will make you beg on the streets. I will send you apartment hunting. I will send you looking for admission in school. I will send you with your CV, your actual CV, looking for jobs. Just these 5 things. for 7 days. And I'll ask you how easy it was. And if you think it was, then great. All of us are willing to turn back into being men and living our lives as men. If you think it's easy and you can do it, because it isn't easy. We know it's tough, we know it's challenging, but we continue doing it because we have to fight for our own identity. It's unfair to this soul that has been put like an amanat in our body by Allah. You get it? That's how we think. It's unfair to it. It's unfair to this amanat. It's a khiyanat in this amanat. If I am meant to be an artist and I'm grinding away my bosom in an engineering discipline, I am making good money, I have a good house, but I don't sleep well at night. This is the sort of face that I have all the time. People are like, why are you so negative? I shoot down other people's interests. It's because I have a dark heart myself. It's because the beautiful contours of my soul have all been chipped away. They have been filed to fit in like a puzzle piece into the puzzle that society gives us to be fit in.
That's such a poignant way of putting it.
Yeah. And we are not willing for those edges and those contours to be filed. And then when those edges and those contours don't fit in, society either tries to break that away for us to fit in, or it tries to break us, the puzzle piece, apart. So that a new puzzle piece that fits in can be put in its place.
You know, what you're saying ties into another question I had for you, where I read recently on some social media, I read that you had said that transphobia is mainly an urban middle class or bourgeoisie phenomenon. Can you elaborate a bit on that?
Absolutely. So first of all, I would like to unpack the term bourgeoisie. Bourgeoisie, the term as we know it, originated during the French Revolution. And the idea was that bourgeoisie is elites. People who live in defense, who have generational wealth, who have a house and everything. I don't think that's an accurate definition of bourgeoisie anymore. In the modern day and age, we talk about the bourgeoisie as people who have modern everyday ideals. Modern everyday ideals in terms of, we have to learn the English language. We have to learn a trade. We have to get a degree. We have to be part of the 9-to-5 job economy. And through that, we are able to present ourselves as disciplined citizens of the country. So I would recode bourgeoisie as the disciplined citizens of the country who do not have a lot of financial problems. Because everybody has financial problems. Money is never enough. Capital is a shoddy material reality. So even if you're loaded in billions of dollars, you would still think it's not enough. You want $1 trillion, right? So everybody has financial troubles, but I'm talking at a macro scale. Their financial troubles are not dying of hunger. For example, they can send 3 out of their 4 kids to school. They can send 2 out of their 4 kids to a private university. It's this crowd that I'm talking about. The people who live in, I would like to say, Johar and Gulshan and Nazmabad and Defense. And Clifton. It's these people. It's people who work in offices. It's people who have a university degree. It's people who go to IBA and LUMS. It's people who can talk about their faith and their morality in the English language. It's specifically in the context of Pakistan, people who have access to what I call the Al-Huda PK literature, the Farhad Hashmi types, you know? Which was a new brand of regressive Islam given to women. In the garb of English language. See, it's a female preacher with her face covered and she knows English. Her followers are in North America and Canada. Because at that particular time, in the 90s and the early 2000s, the ideal dream for any heterosexual woman in Pakistan would be to get a degree and to marry a man and go settle in North America. Right? That's what it was. That's what was given to my family as well. That's what the dream is. And it's that crowd to whom Farhad Hashmi appeals the most. Because now you are sitting at home. You are serving your husband. You do have inherent human angst against your own slavery. Because all human beings are born free. God has blessed you with a soul. You have inherent issues with it. You do feel humiliated. You do feel reduced, demeaned. All of that. But you can't express it. Because Allah Ta'ala firmate hain कि वो वाली बेगमात जो अपने ख़ावंद हज़रात के साथ नाफरमानी करती हैं. And then a girl would come up and अब इसके ऊपर हमें हमारी sister Rabia Anjum Jafri बताएंगी. Jafri तो खैर नहीं हो सकती, of course, because they're very anti-Shia. It would be a Sunni surname. वो हमें बताएंगी. And then Rabia would get up on this cassette recording of Farhad Hashmi. So I would like to read a poem. And this poem is written by my favorite poet, and she lives in Saudi Arabia. And the poem is about this. And the poem is, when you come home and I cook you food, the warmth of the food blesses my heart, the way Allah blesses all of us, like the mother who loves 70 times more. And as a person, as a consumer, when you are sitting down and you are listening to this, are you like, what are you giving? Are you giving a spiritual cover to a person being upset? What is this? Are you convincing people of gender roles? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
You are convincing people of gender roles and gender norms by
Absolutely.
falsely ascribing them to God and to religion and to your faith.
Yep.
You do not need to be a Muslim to make your husband tea. You do not need to be any gender to make your romantic partner tea.
Right.
The more we add categories to all of these human aspects of affection, that is when we end up complicating things. कि वो बड़ा है, वो ये नहीं कर सकता. Well, my dad has made me breakfast. I have made breakfast for my dad, and those have been these moments where we crossed that boundary of that father-son relationship or that age. They were brilliant. They were beautiful. They were so cute, right?
Right.
Because it's kind of transgressive. And you're like, oh, you trust me this much to make breakfast for you? You know?
Yeah.
It's stuff like that. So ये वाला जो brand है ना, Islamism वगैरह का, ये वाली जो dream है, ये वाली जो disciplinarianism है, on to be a lady, कि घर को प्यारा सा सजाना है, इस सब के लिए capital की ज़रूरत है, और इस सब के लिए वक्त की ज़रूरत है,
Right.
और capital और वक्त सिर्फ उन लोगों के पास होता है who can afford to have it. Only those people are going to be transphobic who do have some grey cells left at the end of the day to indulge in hateful rhetoric and thought, which is basically, again, a manifestation and extrapolation of all the negativity that is inside them. All of these people are hurting. All of these transphobes, they are hurting. A person walking on a street, why is that person a problem to you? A person working in an office, why is that person a problem to you? That person isn't a problem to you.
So you're saying a lot of it comes from this bitterness and this discontent
With themselves.
with themselves, yeah, within themselves,
Within
yeah.
their own gender identity.
and they project it outwards in this way.
Because they have been given a gender role to perform. And they are performing that role. And they are not happy in it.
Do you think they feel threatened?
They feel insecure. They feel they are jealous of our joy.
Yeah.
They
And
are jealous
freedom.
of our happiness. Ki your Shanakhti card says man. Your family thinks that you are their son or their brother. And you are doing the exact opposite of it. And from what I know, you either need to be dead right now, or be killed, or begging in a street corner. But you are here. And you are talking. And you have an opinion. And you are smiling. You laugh. You're wearing clothes. And these clothes are probably pretty. You have makeup. Why are you happy? Why are you happy when I am not happy?
I see. Yeah.
I, a woman, I have a husband. I have 3 kids. One of them is a son. I cook food. I iron clothes. I give him free sex even when I don't want to. Why am I unhappy? Why do you get to be happy? तुम तो खुश रहे हो. Why do you get to be happy? And then this all builds up and it just goes to कि गंदे लोग, ये तो होते ही इस तरह के हैं, ये तो शैतान है, ये तो सारा. Because you have to give yourself some reason, some level of vindication to allow yourselves to continue in that humiliation and slavery of your own. कि ये तो शैतान के हैं, अभी जो करना है कर लें, आखिर में तो जहन्नम में जलेंगे ना. मैंने भी जितना कुड़ना कुड़ लूं, मैं तो आखिर में जन्नत में जाऊंगी.
Because I'm on the right path.
I'm on the right path.
Yeah.
And I have to convince myself that I am on the right path, because that is the only way that convincing is going to mask or cover all the unease and the hurt and the pain and the cracks in my heart. So it's people who can't see joy themselves who are jealous of other people's joy.
Yes.
People can't tolerate other people's joy.
उनको चुपती है.
चुपती है उनको. वो दुल्हन क्यों हंस रही थी अपनी शादी पे? कितनी खुश है. कितनी खुश है. देखना एक हफ्ते के अंदर तलाक होगी. Because you are unhappy in your marriage. जरूर हराम का खाता होगा. 2 साल के अंदर इतनी बड़ी गाड़ी ले ली है. जरूर हराम का खाता होगा. Because
No,
you
she must have worked really hard and earned it, but yeah.
But yeah, because or he has really grinded himself to get to this point,
Yeah.
and so have you. And you haven't gotten it, and he has gotten it. And good for him. Yay, wow, he's finally happy. But you haven't gotten it, right? And that's okay. That's unfair to you. You should have gotten it. The system is bad. The system is not equal. The system does not treat everybody fairly. You as a man should also have gotten a car. You should also get a good salary. You should also feel dignified. You should also not have to feel less or worse compared to your peers based upon what you're making, because you should be getting those essential services. But you aren't. The problem isn't me. The problem is patriarchy. The problem is capitalism. So instead of hating me, I invite people to reflect within. Where is this hate coming from? Is this coming from comparisons? And if it is coming from comparisons, are those comparisons valid?
And that's what people find so hard to do. When you self-reflect and go into this mode of self-awareness and you look in the mirror, people find that very difficult.
Very difficult, because awareness always brings shame. That's the first emotion that is going to come up.
That's interesting.
And if you do not know how to deal with shame, because we don't, we as a society don't, I don't think humanity as a whole understands how to deal with shame. This modern civilization does not. Because when you realize something, and then you think, oh, maybe I was wrong, then you're like, oh shit, I was wrong.
Yeah.
I'm a bad person. I'm stupid. मैं हूँ ही stupid. कितनी उल्लू की पट्टी हूँ ना, मैं ये कर रही थी मैं. Ay Allah. And it's all okay. Emotions are complex. I'm not hating these emotions. These are all valid. They all come up. But you need time, space, patience to deal with all of them, to process them, to sit with them, to acknowledge them and accept them. We can't be perfect individuals. This desire of ours to be perfect. And I would like to blame this positivity culture and the healing culture for this as well. When we, through yoga and through stones, we somehow give this image that now that I'm going through therapy and now that I'm self-reflecting, I'm a perfect human being. No. Now that I'm going through all of this, I am at peace with my imperfections.
Right.
I think that is where we need to be.
Yeah.
Rather than striving for perfection. We need to be at peace with our imperfections. We need to be at peace with the fact that, yes, it makes me jealous when my friends get a partner or when a friend start dating someone, because I feel like I will die single.
Yeah.
It brings me back traumatic memories of my own past. I am a feminist. I am an independent woman. I promote all of that. I do want cuddles. I do hug my pillow to sleep.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That does not make me a cheap, desperate slut. That's okay. We are all human. We are all complex human beings. We have complexity of emotions. And it's that complexity that these people are unable to grasp, including a lot of queer people and trans people. Because now that we are seeing a level of trans inclusion, it's also that trans people are being asked to be a certain way. And nobody knows what that way is, because they've defined what it means to be an ideal Pakistani woman. They've defined what it means to be an ideal Pakistani man.
Yeah.
They haven't defined what it means to be an ideal Pakistani Khwaja Sara. So right now they have is don't be a beggar, don't be a sex worker.
Yeah.
Right now it's just that. Basically everything that most of them are as a result of economic marginalization.
Yeah. So Mehrub, you're very vocal on numerous platforms and you're fearless about taking up virtual and public spaces. What spurs you on to continue putting yourself out there despite risks to your safety?
I don't think there are risks to my safety. What is the worst that is going to happen to me? I will be lynched by a mob to death.
That's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad, right?
Yeah.
Who else hasn't not happened to? It has happened to Mashal Khan. It has happened to all other people as well. So that doesn't scare me. I know of it. I know that it can happen. I know it is a possibility, but that possibility has never given birth to fear for some strange reason.
Okay.
I am at peace with it. I am at peace with that fear and with that risk. When the Khwaja Sara community had that protest against Bila violence after the attack on me, and I was standing on the top and I was, doing all of that, I could tell that there were like 50 of them standing at the perimeter taking my videos.
Really?
Oh yeah. I pointed them out and I talked into their cameras. And I said कि मुझे पता है कि तुम लोग मेरी वीडियो बना रहे हो और मुझे पता है कि तुम लोग यहाँ पे आई हुई हर मूरत की वीडियो बना रहे हो, तुम लोग उसको भी हरास करोगे बाद में कि क्यों गई थी उसके जलसे पे। तो मैं कह रही हूँ कि जाके अपने सरदारों को मेरी वीडियो दिखा दो और बोलो कि किसी और पे भी हाथ उठाया तो मैं आके अपने हाथों से तुम लोगों के टट्टे काटूंगी। I think I'm from KPK, maybe that's why. Or maybe because I know that violent men understand the language of violence. And I'm not afraid to do it. I'm not a pacifist. contrary to popular belief. I am not Gandhi. Great man, would have done great things. I think did great things for the independence movement. Sorry, not my man. I'm not a Gandhi. I am more of a Jhansi ki Rani. कि मैं तलवार लेकर निकल जाऊंगी. I'm not afraid of fighting.
Okay.
I was as a child because I thought कि मुझे जब मार पड़ेगी तो मैं humiliate होगी. लेकिन अब मैं क्या यार 12 लोग मेरी गाड़ी में घुस गए थे. 2 को तो मैंने ऑलमोस्ट मार दिया था जान से. उस रात जो अंदर से काली माँ की वो निकली ना एक छाप एक जिस तरीके से बाहर आई. सो मुझे इस बात का एहसास हो गया कि डरते हम तब हैं जब हमें लगता है कि वी आर नॉट स्ट्रॉन्ग इनफ. एंड ग्रोइंग अप आई हैव ऑलवेज थॉट, I realized it. I have always thought that I am not strong enough because I'm not a man.
Okay.
So a lot of the strength that I projected or people thought the strength that I had was actually just masculinity का indirect effect. वो जो मर्दाना होने की एक्टिंग नहीं करी होती थी, वो उसका जो एक naturally आप अगर मर्द बने हुए हो, फॉर एग्जाम्पल आप रात को गाड़ी में जा रही हो, पुलिस वाले आपको रोकते हैं, आप अपनी शीशा नीचे नहीं करेंगी, लड़का नीचे करेगा बात करने के लिए, राइट? You yourself would refrain. That makes sense. That is performative femininity. That is performative masculinity. तो वो performative masculinity की वजह से जो थोड़ी बहुत fake strength आपको नजर आती है वो तो मेरी थी. But after the attack and everything and all of that happened and I was just able to handle it, I realized later that night that all of this was feminine. All the rage in me, all the strength in me, all of this has always been feminine.
You've talked about that before also on your podcast.
Yeah.
About the feminine strength.
About my strength being inherently feminine. And the reason why I never felt really strong was because I was trying to look for my masculine strength simply because I thought strength was masculine.
Okay.
So I genuinely believe, now I've reached this, people say ना कि चीज़ें gendered नहीं होती, चीज़ें gendered नहीं होती. लेकिन मुझे कहीं ना कहीं ये बात ज़रूर लगती है कि strength is actually a feminine trait.
Yeah.
Which is why most men aren't strong. They are pretend strong.
Yes.
But they are not strong. They are unable to take a stand for their wives, despite
They're
knowing that
testosterone strong and muscle strong.
they yell.
Yeah.
They are the dog that barks. But the moment you go close to him, he starts whimpering and won't bite you.
Yeah.
They are that. कि दूर से खड़े होके चीखते रहो, काऊ काऊ काऊ, बाऊ बाऊ बाऊ. जैसे ही पास गए तो सीटियां मार के जमीन पे लेटेगा. Sorry, I'm baby. Don't do anything to me.
Right.
Come to think of it, all Pakistani guys are like that. बड़े बन रहे होते हैं वो सारे. आप उनको इग्नोर करना शुरू करो, बोलोगे sorry, I'm breaking up with you. I don't think this is working. 1 week later, they're at your feet. Miss you. Wish this could continue. तब भी डरपोक हैं. हिम्मत से आके नहीं बोलेंगे कि I fucked up, I made a mistake, I wanna be back with you and this time I will do good. No. तरीके से फेक प्रोफाइल बना के पोक कर देंगे. मासी की फोन कॉल आ जाएगी, वो भाई कह रहे थे कि मेरा कुछ सामान आपकी तरफ पड़ा हुआ है तो मैं उठा लूं.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that. Very passive. लड़कियां तो फिर अच्छी हैं, हम तो पहुंच जाती हैं घर. और हम तो ट्रांस वुमेन तो सबसे अच्छी हैं, हम तो घर के बाहर पहुंचती हैं वाकई में, और तालियां पीटती हैं कि निकलो बाहर, निकलो. क्या मसला है तुम्हारे साथ, क्यों नहीं मेरा फोन उठा रहे? ब्रेकअप करना है तो खुल के ब्रेकअप करना. So I do think that strength is a feminine trait.
Yeah.
हिम्मत एक जनाना ताकत है.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Otherwise, God would have blessed men with a uterus. He didn't.
Yeah. Okay, so a caption on one of your Instagram posts reads, "A lot of problems in life can be sorted by getting rid of some people in life." How has this worked for you?
Amazing.
How
It
so?
has also worked well with me. पहले भी जिंदगी में भी, और मुझे हमेशा इस बात का एहसास होता रहा है. लेकिन इसके जरिए ना मुझे इस बात का भी एहसास हुआ कि मेरे अंदर भी एक थोड़ा सा एक नेगेटिव पैटर्न. और मेरा अपना पर्सनल नेगेटिव पैटर्न ये है कि मैं लोगों के रेड फ्लैग्स को बहुत सप्रेस करती हूँ और कहती हूँ कि नहीं मैं प्रोजेक्ट कर रही हूँ. In my quest of being accountable for myself and in my quest of self-reflecting, I end up self-reflecting enough that मैं start में कहती हूँ कि नहीं I'll give these people time और हम देखते हैं कि ये चीज़ किस तरीके से चल रही है. लेकिन मैं बहुत से रेड फ्लैग्स को ब्रश अवे करके कहती हूँ कि नहीं मेरे ख्याल से मैं प्रोजेक्ट कर रही हूँ.
Okay.
Because मैं ऐसी होती थी कभी. Because of course reality for me is reflective. I can only see bad things in people if I can relate with those bad things, if I have had those negative emotions myself. I can tell when people are putting down other people, when they are putting down me, because I have put down people actively. As a queer person, as a non-queer person, I have done that. I have shamed people, I have bullied people, ये तमाम चीज़ें. तो जब वो आपके साथ होता है या किसी और के साथ हो रहा है तो आपको नजर आता है, फिर आपको होती है कि वो शिट Damn, I did the same thing back in the day. Damn, I'm so disgusting. You need to apologize. वही वाली बात जो मैंने की.
Yeah.
Self accountability and reflection leads to shame, and shame kills you. तो shame को अगर process ना करना है तो आप लोगों को समझ नहीं आती. तो मैं बिल्कुल तो shame से बचने के लिए मैं लोगों के नहीं मुझे गलत लग रहा है. नहीं मुझे गलत लग रहा है. ऐसा नहीं होगा. बंदा ठीक ही होगा. हालांकि मुझे लग रहा है कि नहीं ये माजरा ये नहीं है. मुझे लग रहा है इस लड़के के अंदर कोई मसला है. दिल मेरा कह रहा है कि ये मसला यहाँ पे कुछ है. So what I did was, what helped me in sorting that out is कि मुझे एक बड़ी मजे की बात पता चली कि in the pre-modern there wasn't a concept of rationale. Particularly in South Asian Muslim societies, we had multiple brains. जिसको हम लोग कहते हैं ना कि सोच के बताऊंगा. So सोच की मुख्तलिफ sources थी. So there was the head, कि will it work, will it not work, rationality. That was just one. There was the दिल, कि मन क्या चाह रहा है. Desire kya, and then there was the gut. The gut is the chatti hiss, the tingles, the vibe,
right,
the energy, that okay, I think it will work, the idea is great and I really want to do it, but I don't know, I have a weird feeling about it, and that was gut. So the pre-modern Muslim societies placed a lot of value in it. They were like, the gut knows.
And now this is back though.
Now this is back.
Now the gut is trending.
And this also came back because white people were able to pick up brown literature, translate it, and then say, oh damn, yeah, colonization fucked up. There is so much indigenous wisdom on mental health and well-being that we just trampled through racism and in our quest for development and science. So what I do now is I have started listening to my gut, particularly this year, because I went through quite terrible breakups last year. There were some of them were with friends, some of them were with loved ones. One was an actual breakup that happened in March. So वो इतने ज़्यादा थे कि मुझे हुआ था कि okay, एक तो I need to identify कि मैं एक ज़ख्मी शेरनी हूँ अब. और शेरनियाँ जब शिकार करके आती हैं आपको पता होगा शायद, because शेर पीछे होता है. शेर बच्चों का ख्याल रखते हैं और शेरनियाँ जाती हैं ग्रो बना के शिकार करने. And they always get injured. Because of course, you know, lionesses out to have some fun and hunt. Zakhmi to hongi. Then they all come back and then they lick each other's wounds, the sisters, and they all cuddle and sleep for 3 to 4 days to heal. तो मैंने कहा मैं ज़ख्मी शेर नहीं हूँ. अब मेरा भी अपने ज़ख्म चाट के लेट के सोने का वक्त हुआ चाहता है. तो अब तो मैं साइड पे हो रही हूँ. और उसके दौरानिए में मैंने ये करना है कि मैंने अपनी गट की सुननी है. बिकॉज सोचो कि तुम्हारी गट ने तुम्हें जो कुछ कहा था उस एक बंदे के बारे में डे 1 पे या डे 2 पे, वो डे नंबर 365 पे दुरुस्त साबित हुआ.
So by this process, you were able to let go of these people or relationships?
Yes. I was able to let go of these people, and whatever traumas remain, they are my own. I'm not fighting them. I don't fight my pain anymore. My pain is my own. I like my pain actually. I'm friends with my pain. She's very cute. I call her Miss Emotions.
Really?
Yeah. So after the attack on me, I also went through this process where I split. So there was so much going on in my life that I was unable to put 2 and 2 together in a lot of places. So my mind just split. And there became aspects of myself, the rational me, the angry me, the vociferous me. And I just gave them names and they became personalities. My therapist has met them too. So I called them the inner parliament. That there are people who live within me, who is me, basically. It's aspects of that. And I gave them very fun names. And that was very healthy. That helped me a lot. It was almost like inside out.
Okay, yes.
You know that? There are like those.
Yes.
So fear and disgust are having a fight with joy. So it was almost like that कि मेरी भी inner parliament के अंदर मैं होती थी, मैं कहती थी कि निकलो और बात करो आपस में. Make this the parliament. Talk to each other.
Yeah.
And then they would talk to each other. So it was very fun. I loved it. I miss them sometimes. Now that they're all integrated within me, I really miss them sometimes.
So Mehrub, please tell us what transitioning has been like for you so far, and does being a doctor give you a unique perspective on this process?
Second question का पहले जवाब दूंगी. Being a doctor and being an autistic neuroatypical doctor who is a super nerd, It gives me a further unique perspective because I just sit down, I devour books and literature, and then make my own cheat sheets and everything with my own medical tests. सारे मैंने जो किया होता है अपना, तो मुझे तो बड़े मजे का unique perspective मिला. And जो अच्छा perspective मुझे ये मिला साथ में कि a lot of my other trans sisters had started transitioning earlier, and they were able to discuss their process and methodology with me as well. And what's good about it is because there is a lot of self-medication in the trans community, and it is both harmful and beneficial.
Okay.
It is harmful because the people who have no knowledge and know nothing and who are misguided, जिनके पास misinformation होती है, they can end up taking wrong decisions.
Right.
But the good thing is that the trans community is so smart, and most of us do so much research before doing anything, literally. Accountants, people who've done accounting or people who've done finance are able to sit down and read biology books simply because they're trans.
Okay.
We've been researching ourselves so much for so long that we are able to digest many different forms of literature. So a lot of times when doctors want to publish a paper or guidelines, all they have to do is come and talk to us. So years and years of data that would otherwise they would have to collect by doing randomized controlled trials and this and that, they can literally just come us and ask us, and this is experiential data. And all they have to do is make a hypothesis on it, test it in a lab, and they would know whether we were right or wrong. So there's also that benefit as well.
Okay.
That we have paced up the scientific process simply by being the experimental lab rats ourselves, for ourselves, on our own terms. Transitioning has been very good for me. I really enjoy it. Estrogen is so much better than testosterone.
In what way?
Oh my God, estrogen is so much better. Testosterone is like, ये भी करना, 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 and you end up doing nothing.
Yeah.
You have 10 tasks, you end up doing 1 of them properly, and 7 of them terribly, and 2 of them not at all. But you keep on lying कि हाँ वो शुरू हो गया मैंने किसी को कह दिया है हो जाएगा वो काम. Testosterone is very that.
Okay.
It's very estrogen is very like हाँ ये 10 काम है जो मैंने करने हैं पहले चाय पीऊंगी फिर देखूंगी. It's very this.
It's very zen.
It's very zen. I like it.
Okay.
And then progesterone is the more testosterone-y of the female hormones. Although none of these hormones are female hormones or male hormones, all of us have them.
Yes.
In varying combinations. But अब मेरे अंदर estrogen ज़्यादा है, testosterone कम है.
हाँ.
पहले मेरे अंदर testosterone ज़्यादा था, estrogen कम था. तो मुझे तो ज़्यादा अच्छा लग रहा है estrogen.
Okay.
मुझे तो बहुत मज़ा आ रहा है. I like it.
Okay. Awesome. So, Mehrub, you are upgrading and revamping your podcast, which used to be known as Stoned Alive, and you also had a GoFundMe campaign set up for this. So, can you tell us about your new vision?
So, my new vision is that it's not going to be an Instagram live. दोस्त के साथ बैठ के एवनी लेके Stoned Alive होते हुए आप कर रहे हो.
As fun as those were.
As fun as those were. Those will continue.
Yeah.
But that's
okay,
just my
they
Instagram.
Will. Okay,
they
good.
will continue randomly once or twice a month and 3 times a month.
Yeah.
This one is going to be a lot of things. I am definitely doing a podcast where we sit down, 2 camera setup, we talk to each other.
Okay.
It's predominantly going to be a queer cast. And by that I mean queer guests. And we do not just want to talk about queer things. We want to talk about queering mainstream things. Because my agenda is not to mainstream queers. My agenda is to queer the mainstream.
Yes.
So we want to talk about that, on how all of these philosophies and visions affect us and how laterally they affect a lot of other people.
Okay.
So it's going to be host emotional and affective topics as well, like guilt, shame, pain, heartbreak, etc. And it will also have topics of political interest, like urban development, finances, alternative economies, climate change, etc. And then I'm also planning on doing a fortnightly review, 14वीं का review. हर 14 दिनों के बाद हम एक review करेंगे politics का, वो 7 to 10 minutes का होगा, very much like Trevor Noah. But that will be
fun.
super campy, super drag, super queer, and irreverent black comedy. Like literally, I have a segment called Conspiracy Theory of the Week.
Okay.
उसमें हम लोग conspiracy theories release करेंगे नई. There is also Shumaila Bhatti का एक segment that I used to do before. हम लोग दोबारा introduce करें. Shumaila Bhatti has identified that she is not a feminist and that she hates feminists. So that is going to be an anti-feminist rant. So all the rants that you see otherwise,
yes,
Shumaila Bhatti is going to be doing them.
Oh, nice. So when will we see?
So for example, मैं कभी से आपको break दे देती हूँ. पहली वाली एपिसोड में ये कि शुमाइला भट्टी से पूछा जाता है कि आप औरत मार्च के ऊपर गई तो आपका एक्सपीरियंस कैसा रहा और आप आइंदा जाएंगी कि नहीं. एंड शुमाइला भट्टी से इसका मेरा बहुत बुरा एक्सपीरियंस रहा और आइंदा किसी को भी यहाँ पे नहीं आना चाहिए. मैंने टीवी पे सुना था कि यहाँ बहुत फहाशी होती है. यहाँ बहुत उरियानी होती है, तो मैं भी आई थी कि शायद चलो 2-4 मेरे भी बॉयफ्रेंड बन जाएंगे, तो यहाँ पे तो लड़के ही कोई नहीं है, तो ये औरत मार्च वाली सारी झूठी हैं, ये सारी औरतों को लारे लगा रही हैं, ये कोई हकूक आप लोगों को नहीं दिलाएंगी। इससे बेहतर है कि आप लोग हया मार्च के अंदर चली जाए, क्या पता कि 2-4 खावंदी मिल जाए। So it's that.
Okay.
It's using all of those tropes, all of those stereotypes that have always been used against us and slapping it back onto them, and they can't even tell it. That's my brand of comedy. That is always what I have done.
So when can we expect episode 1?
1st June.
Oh, nice.
So my GoFundMe, our goal was $5,000.
Yeah.
And that was over budget. Okay. ज़्यादा पैसे आ जाएंगे तो फिर चलो ये हम लोग इसको किटी फंड बना के अपने पास रख लेते हैं, and then I can perhaps hire more people and give them money. Because I'm not taking any money out of it. If I end up monetizing it, which I will, वहाँ से जो आ रहा होगा वो आ रहा होगा. I can't take a salary out of this right now, because this is not like that for me right now. But I am hiring young people so that they can work and they can have a job while they're doing their bachelor's or A-levels and doing film. That's what the economy is like these days as well. So we have reached about $2,000 local और इसको मिला के, which is not bad. I'm barely, I would like to say, $500-700 below budget right now. So people who are watching this, I please ask you to go check out my GoFundMe. It's in the bio of my Instagram page, and donate in dollars and pounds. Because our economy is really messed up, and I want to milk the cow as long as this cow has milk. And if we get more, then well and good. But we are doing a podcast and a fortnightly review with politics, fashion, this and that. And I think it's going to be the first time we are going to see very original South Asian queer content on our own terms.
Looking forward to that. You must be so excited.
Very excited.
Okay, Mehrub, are you ready for some rapid fire?
Absolutely.
Alrighty. So, khadi or neo mask?
Khadi.
How long did it take you to learn the Fevicol dance?
1 day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. How many people are in your life that you can call your best friend?
3.
Okay. Have you ever seen a jinn? Yeah.
Seen, experienced, felt.
Okay. You once did flawless eye makeup while hosting an episode of Stoned Alive. Give us one makeup tip you swear by.
Okay. One makeup tip that I swear by. Start on the outer edge with the color. Always start with the transition shade first. But when you are packing your eyes with color, always start with this edge, because you can always blend in. And that way you will always get a darker dimension over here and a lighter one over here that gives your eyes that snatched look.
That's perfect for me, because I always start from here and then don't know what I'm doing.
You always start over here and then start packing it into the lid like this and then slowly blend in.
Okay. Does anything make you nervous?
The fear of failure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What does your Insta handle, unrelentlessly yours, mean?
So basically, when I made Instagram, I wanted to keep a name that made absolutely no sense.
Acha.
Because I like doing things like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, why does this have this name? For example, why is my cat called Mr. Cat? Because he's a cat. Just like that. Okay, unrelentlessly yours just came out. Okay, this means absolutely nothing. And that's why I named it that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And finally, I have to ask you a book question, being a librarian. What book are you currently reading, or what was the last book you read?
The book that I'm reading these days is by Declan Walsh, 9 Lives of Pakistan.
Ah, yes.
He writes well. And the last book that I read was Against White Feminism by Rafia Zakaria. And I would recommend both of these books to Pakistanis, and they are available at our local bookstores as well.
And in our library.
And in your library. You have a library?
Yes.
This?
Yes.
So you can borrow books from here?
Yes. This is my bookshelf.
I am going to do that.
Okay. So Mehrub, thank you so much for coming in. It was really a joy talking with you.
Thank you so much for having me. Mujhe bahut maza aaya.
Okay. So guys, you can check out Mehrub's GoFundMe campaign at her Instagram page, Unrelentlessly Yours. See you next time on The Tea with My Bookshelf. Bye.